Good. It's my wee small voice. We welcome you as always on this beautiful Sunday morning to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Niagara. And if you'll bear with me, so to speak, I will share with you the words of Harry Meserve. From arrogance, pompousness, and from thinking ourselves more important than we are, may some saving sense of humor liberate us. For allowing ourselves to ridicule the faith of others, may we be forgiven. For making war and calling it peace, special privilege and calling it justice, indifference and calling it tolerance, pollution and calling it progress, may we be cured. For telling ourselves and others that evil is inevitable while good is impossible, may we stand corrected. God of our mixed up, tragic, aspiring, doubting, and insurgent lives, help us to be as good in, as good as in our hearts we have always wanted to be. Amen. If you'll now turn, if we now have our turn in your bulletin or your mini hymnal, if you would turn to the chalice lighting words. And as our chalice lighter approaches us, let us affirm these words together. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, to serve you, Spirit of freedom. You'll now turn, in your hymnal to hymn number 11.
There is method to my insanity. This is a recording, all my stuff is a whole recording system, and my plan is that we're going to find 2 or 3 hymns that we all like and we all do reasonable well. Then I'm going to get y'all to move up here closer. Not today.
the one and the two. No. This is Lawrence Welk with the Lennon Sisters singing their version of I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Oh, that's beautiful. That was good. Very good. Okay. If you'll turn in your hymnal to responsive reading number 730. Come on. There we go. And this is a beautiful responsive reading by the very prolific and profound Kahil Gibran, and it's called Make Not a Bond of Love. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. And stand together, yet not too near together. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Thank you. Okay. We now come to that portion of our service that is called honoring our joys and our sorrows. Okay. OCD. Anyway, you know, it's come to my attention, and of course it would, especially a person of my profession, that if you open up a newspaper, if you go on your medias like Facebook and so forth, there is an absolute inundation, a virtual cacophony, if you will, of negative news, and I need not say more about that. Save this. As I have preached and others have preached and shared and expressed, we have a choice. We can either continue to focus on what's all wrong, and more often than not, that focus is so hard and so stringent that there is very seldom an opportunity that we give ourselves to not only focus on what's right, but also how to, shall we say, heal or mitigate what's wrong. And so I light this candle today in the spirit of goodness, in the spirit of positivity. I choose not to remind myself or others what has already been reminded of us almost to the point of ad nauseum. I choose to remain positive and affirmative and look for the good and praise it. Look for the good and encourage it. Look for the good and uplift it. So that is my great joy. I have one other thing I want to share. as you all know, because, you know, after the first few times of, as they say, preaching at ya, I realized reasonably quickly that I was becoming not just a, quote, guest speaker, but I was becoming a friend, and to a great degree now I feel like I'm family. So give me $50. No. That's what family does, don't they? No. But the thing that, so I can share with you things and that are of great concern, and I feel that it is through your, I'll use the phrase, prayerful support, it gives me the strength to move on. Recently went to the doctor because you probably have known that I've talked about it a little bit with some of you. I've had some, quote, side effects from this prostate surgery that I've had a couple years ago. And the good news, I am still, as they say, virtually undetectable, so the cancer seems to be a thing of the past, and I'm deeply grateful for that. But there are side effects that I need not go into any details, but I'm going to be going in the next week or two, well, actually 2 weeks, for some testing so that they can find ways to mitigate some of these side effects, because they are proving to be extremely annoying. So, again, I'm very optimistic, and of course, when I'm not optimistic, I have my wife there, and she carries a very big stick. So I'm optimistic, and so my concern at this point is, obviously I'm a little nervous. I hate needles, I hate tests, and all of it, like every one of us, but it's a necessary thing for, my overall health. So that I can continue to do what I do with as few mitigating circumstances as possible. So, with that all being said, is there anyone else who would like to please come forth and share joys or concerns, or sorrows, I should say?
Thank you. As I was driving in today, I just noticed how beautiful it is out, and I was feeling joy. And then I had a thought like, oh, I'm not going to share my joy. I don't want to tell anyone because of the crap that's going on in the world, the Palestinian, everything, all the dark things. Like, I don't feel permission to, but I feel joy. Like, it's great. And we had a great week last week, and it was Sunday night, so I sent some pictures to my parents of my son, like, oh, we went to the zoo, they have a free Thursday, it's the third Thursday of every month, it's free. So we went to the zoo on Thursday, he had co-op, we went to the aquarium on Monday with some friends. We just had a good week, and I get to spend my days with him and my husband, and it's beautiful out. And I just went to bed thankful, and I woke up thankful and joyful. And I wasn't gonna share it, but he gave me a little permission to share it, so thanks.
Thank you.
So I have a bone to pick with you, Ron.
Pick my bone. Pick my bone.
As a person who had to work and do tests on patients I could not explain the reason for the tests to, you have no right to be upset about being poked with a needle, because at least you know why somebody's poking you.
Good point. Very good point. Thank you.
The other reason I'm here is my sister's up visiting, and we went to the opening gala of the BPO. We didn't go to the gala, but we went to the concert. And it was just wonderful to see. The place was packed, which I haven't seen in forever. And when they played, the opening concert of the year, she always plays "O Canada" and the Star Spangled Banner, and we all stand up and sing together. And she started the program by saying they were playing beautiful music, and she hoped it made everybody happy. And then we all sang together, and there were literally people in the audience with tears in their eyes as we were singing these songs together. And the soloist was a young pianist. He looked like he was about 2, but he was 23. My sister kept saying, Andy Warhol, he looks just like Andy Warhol.
Oh, boy.
But he was just amazing. And as I said to Patty, it looks like he never sees the light of day. You know, he has one thing on his mind, and that's playing that piano. But it was just a phenomenal experience, and I wish everybody could share wonderful things like that, because it certainly makes getting through every day a lot easier. And Patty and Bill and I went to Doors Open Buffalo, and we had a good time down at Canal Side, and we went to the Nash House and the Black History Corridor. It was just a beautiful day yesterday.
Thank you.
Was it Joanne?
Joanne, yes, it was Joanne.
That's one joy I don't think I've ever shared. My great joy for the first 6 or 7 years of being here, I got to go every Monday night to Damien College, where I practiced with the Buffalo Philharmonic Chorus. Yeah, and I got to work with Marvin Hamlish. Yeah, but he brought a reindeer on stage and it pooped. So I don't know, you just reminded me. Oh, I know it's another joy. I think 3 or 4 times this week, I run into Lou out in the park. That's always cool.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Meg. I have joy in my heart. It's bursting. I need to share. Not that it's particularly anything huge has happened, but when Ron was speaking, it reminded me of my grandfather had this saying. He'd say, "I'm in pretty good shape for the shape I'm in," and that's how I feel. I mean, I'm in good health. I'm really grateful for that. You know, I've got issues, of course, but I'm grateful that my mother went to the doctor and had a clean bill of health too, and she's got some referrals that I'm going to take her to. But you know, the labs came back all where they should be. She's diabetic. Type 2 diabetic now, but they were A1C was right where it should be. So, you know, for family, you know, because my mother lives in a senior building, and a lot of people there don't have anybody at all. And somebody had brought that to my attention, and it just was like, you know, made me really sad, but you know, just made me, you know, all the more grateful for my family too. And I got that spirit of fall, too. I went to Lockport yesterday morning, and everything fallish seemed to be out. There was pumpkin farm was out, there was honey stands, and squash, and tomatoes, and garage sales, and the leaves. It was just, everything just seemed kind of magical. So get out there and enjoy it, something. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Of course, our deepest concern for this time of year is the reemergence of the dreaded deadly pumpkin spice. Do you remember, was it last year, maybe the year before, I brought in and I showed it to you? I think I did, pretty sure I did. I was in a supermarket and I saw it, and it saw me. And it said, "Buy me." I said, "No." It said, "You must." I did. And I opened the bag and it was a container. And I swear to God, I hope you remember this because it might have been another congregation, but a container of ramen noodles, pumpkin spice flavor. I knew then that all the prophecies of Nostradamus were correct. The end is nigh. Anyway. We come to that portion of our service that is, of course, called the offering. And we remind you that it is through your generosity and your kindness and compassion that it makes this ministry and the Unitarian Universalist ministry worldwide possible. So we thank you for that. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirring of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. There are times when we do offering, reminds me of the old joke where a $1 bill and a $20 bill were going in a armored car to the bank. And the $20 bill says to the $1 bill, it says, I have been exchanged by princes and kings. I have purchased jewelry of great value. I have done all these amazing things where I am the symbol of great affluence and wealth. Where have you been? And the $1 bill says, I've been to church. Anyway, so let us begin, if I may. You know, this month's theme that is very much discussed in caring circles and women of spirit and a variety of other groups, I call them pod groups in our churches. It's the nurturing of belonging. And in reflection on this notion of belonging, I go back to some discussions I've had recently, and in fact, ironically, the most recent discussion was yesterday. And I was having coffee with a friend, and the topic of discussion was theology, or I'll put it probably more succinctly, not so much theology, but variances in belief systems. And we acknowledge that yeah, though people belong to, especially, for example, us, one umbrella organization or faith community, that each person has their own unique set of beliefs. And these beliefs, of course, as I've probably mentioned before, help us to deal with the existential angst of just being here in the human experience. And of course, in many people's lives, it also gives them a sense of either hope and eliminates their sense of dread of the experience that will befall us all, and that, of course, is death. And everything, of course, in between. And as the discussion evolved, I began to realize that ultimately, whatever, I'm going to use a very old bromide paraphrase, whatever, especially coming from a Unitarian Universalist perspective, and many other traditions like spiritualism and religious science and so many other, even, well, I think even Buddhism and Hinduism, is that ultimately at the end of the day, when you close your eyes and you go to sleep, you come to the conclusion that I've got to do or believe, quote, whatever makes my boat float, whatever lights my candle, whatever calms me, caresses me, keeps me in a sense of balance and peace. And this is a sense of what I call belonging. That we somehow, in the variety of manners that I've just spoken of, that we have a sense that we belong here. And as a result of that, what we do is we spend our lifetimes striving to affirm that, to make that firm, first and foremost in our mind, secondly, of course, in our heart, and ultimately that always translates into our behavior. And I thought about all the different churches and so-called religious communities that I have experienced in my brief time on this planet. And I said to, in the body of my discussion with my friend, I said, I've reached a level of awareness, and maybe it's maturity, or maybe, I don't want to call it a revelation or, some kind of epiphany, but that at the end of the day, I now understand why I have gone the path I have gone, why I have studied virtually, I think, most every religion you could contemplate, and why I've reached a point of consolidation of those beliefs, and ultimately refining them to some very, very basic, simple, I call it spiritual common sense. I said, and I have to come to the conclusion that, for example, the Dalai Lama, loving kindness is my religion. I don't need a temple. I don't need priests. I don't need sacred scriptures. I don't need all of those things. I just need to be loving and kind. That is my religion, my, quote, spiritual discipline, my way of life. And ultimately, if I can be loving and kind to myself and ultimately to all that I come in contact with, the result is the Buddhist concept, and actually it's a more universal concept than many people acknowledge, and that is the concept of the mitigation of suffering wherever we find it. Whether it's the suffering of a family member or someone completely that we'll never meet or know around the world. Ultimately, that is what it boils down to. And I said, religiously speaking, if I had to put a firebrand, on myself, I'd consider myself an omnist. And many people, I guess, are a little bit fuzzy about what an omnist is. An omnist is basically an individual who believes that there is absolutely, ultimately good in all religion/spirituality. And so their obligation, as I was a little bit alluding to in Joys and Sorrows, is to seek the good and praise it. Because it is in that seeking and hopefully in that finding that we can feel again this sense of belonging here. But in a more, in this sense, in a more transcendental sense, not just belonging to a piece of earth or to a planet, but belonging in a more transcendental sense, belonging everywhere and anywhere. Meister Eckhart, famous 16th century Roman Catholic monk, said, and this is one of my favorite quotations from Meister Eckhart. He said, if you want to pray, if you say thank you, that is prayer enough. If you cultivate this attitude of gratitude for the goodness that you have in your life, and don't spend so much time on what you don't have or what you think you deserve, think you need, but to be grateful for what you have, you will build upon yourself in your mind, in your sense of interrelatedness to the entire creation or manifestation, not just, quote, the attitude of gratitude, but they have, those who do more research than I'll ever do, they have found that this builds our psyche in such a way where, as the Buddha said, you basically, well, and of course, and it was reflected also in Judeo-Christianity, you get what you expect. So if you're grateful and you expect good or positive things, your chances of that occurring are actually very, very high. Whereas if you walk around grumbling and complaining about what you don't got, what you should have got because someone stole it from you or somehow, you know, got involved in some manner or means of absconding it from your life, or, we all know it, we all have done it. And many of us still do it from time to time. But the ultimate point is that we strive to, we can change that consciousness, that being conscious of what it is that's important. We will, I'll use the term metaphysical, but they're proving this more so in psychology every day, that we draw into our experience what we focus on, what we truly focus on. William James, famous philosopher, as a man or as a woman thinketh, so he or she is. Now, in that identification as being a bit of an omnist, I've also come to the conclusion that all of the so-called beliefs I've had over the years have been coping mechanisms, creative rationalizations. And if you study theology, they do that in theology too. I was reading a book by a lady, I want to say her name, I believe her last name is Engels, but not relevant for the point. And she basically, I kept reading this over and over again, and she was talking about the history of the evolution of the concept of God. And it always said, well, when this group of people found that they were, not doing so well, they were destroyed by this culture or invaded by that culture, the leadership, meaning the theologians, the priests, the rabbis, the imams, etc., would gather together and say, well, we need a bigger, better God. We need God to fulfill, to give us hope, to give us a greater sense of purpose so that we can cope with what we are experiencing, overcome it, and ultimately come out better at the other end of it. Fine by me, but most folks have this notion of that belonging means that we accept certain things about maybe each other or certain things, what I call the belief system. And many times people will come to church, and I've done this, obviously I've done this, where you go and you study the theology, the philosophy, the belief system. And in your coping skills and your coping mechanism, boy, this makes sense, and oh, wow, wow, wow. And yet in those pockets of people, belonging basically means, it turns out, and you'd have to admit this if you're real honest with yourself, it turns out to be just another way for us versus them, okay? Now, I know people, for example, who, when the New Age movement came about, and everybody and their great-grandma started to contemplate not so much what I call authentic Hinduism or even Buddhism, but the Americanized versions. And it became another, dare I say it, mind game. And I heard people say things like, well, you know, she doesn't believe in reincarnation. She's just not as evolved as we are. And I'm like, evolved? And I said, well, you can have that belief, and if it serves you well, good. But if it makes your ego feel like you're better than the person next to you, something's wrong. Okay, something's really wrong, needs to be looked at, because belonging is not transcendence. Belonging is not transformation. Belonging is feeling, again, we talked about it in the context of our earthly day-to-day lives, but belonging on a spiritual level, on a mental level, means that I'm comfortable, that I can be as comfortable being absolutely myself with you as I could possibly be. Because, again, you go back to the ancient concepts. Namaste, the Hindu concept. The God in me, or the divinity, the sacredness in me, honors the divinity or the sacredness in you. And unfortunately, with the myriad amount of belief systems and structures and so forth that exist, that becomes more challenging even to this very day than not. And I have people, you know, even in my own congregation who, because they've come from various religious traditions, they say, well, you know, I was just, you know, and of course they use the term, I'm a recovering Catholic, or I'm a recovering Methodist, or recovering like that. Like they've gone through some horrifying, you know, trial by fire. And in some cases, maybe they have. So if you have, please don't be offended by what I'm about to say. Ultimately, the point is, if you look back in terms of the concept of growth and evolution, you will understand that everything you've ever experienced, ultimately, if you take it from a position of gratitude, if you take it from a position of transcendence or transformation, has forged you into the person you are today, and hopefully you will acknowledge that so that you can know that you are growing and evolving rather than stuck in the mud of, well, we've always believed this. Yeah, it's all right. Do I believe it? I don't know. Ultimately, we do have to find that with that, we do find rather, that with that sense of belonging, there is that excitement. There is that desire to be more for self, but also to be more for others, okay? Giving is not, should not be painful. Mitigating suffering should not be a chore. It should be a joy, because ultimately we do come to the conclusion, if we spend long enough in our contemplation, in our reflection, to realize what various holy scriptures have said for hundreds, if not thousands of years, that when we take care of others, whether it be mitigating suffering or just being decent and nice and accepting, we're actually doing it more for ourselves. We feel better. We feel good. Or should I put it another way? We actually feel what some might call, we feel God. We identify and unify with the totality of consciousness, with life, as I love to call it, the generous life of the Spirit. And when we have that generous life of the Spirit, we are automatically inclined to share it. It's not a suffering. It's not a chore, as I mentioned a moment ago. One of the beautiful things about what we do in the context of the church is we specify very, very, very strongly the need to honor diversity. That in our uniqueness, we are one. We are one in the one, but it is through that diversity, the acceptance of it, the understanding of it, the working with it, that we become greater and greater in our sense of transformation. And it ceases, if you're doing it, as I say, pardon my being a little arrogant here, if you're doing it right, you stop worrying about what you, quote, believe, whether it be about God or any of those theologies and philosophies, and you ultimately get down back to the basics. You understand at depth that what it's all about is simply goodness, loving kindness, as the Dalai Lama says. Something I said. Now, and I found this fascinating. A lot of my contemporaries have become and continue to be enamored, if you will, and very enthusiastic about a philosopher. I consider him a theologian, Krishnamurti. Anybody familiar with Krishnamurti? Great. Toward the end of his life, he made an interesting statement, and I know this to be true. This is not, quote, anecdotal. I heard him say it because it was recorded on, I guess you would call it videotape at the time. He said the worst thing a human being can do in this life, now hear this, the worst thing a human being can do in this life is to join and become a member of a religion. Any religion. Run, save yourselves. Serious, that's what he said. And I get it. I get it. Because if I come through those doors looking for the truth, and the truth will set me free to be maybe anything I choose to be, but if that truth precludes, again, an acceptance of diversity and an open heart, an open mind, then what it becomes is a cage, not a manifestation of freedom, not a manifestation of openness, so that we can truly, maybe at some point in human evolution, co-create a world together that indeed doesn't work for just a pocket of people here or a pocket of people there. The acceptable ones, the rich ones, the intellectuals, whatever, whatever group happens to be in some kind of manipulative control. But that we care enough and are kind enough and decent enough and acknowledge the divinity enough within each and every one of us, where we create, or I should say co-create, a world, I've said this 10,000 times, that works for everyone, no exceptions. That's true belonging. That's not a belonging in a small isolated group or a national group like, we're all Americans, by God, we're the greatest country in the world. Yes, we are. How's that been going? But when we say we are human beings, we are, I use this expression often, I am a spiritual being who has chosen to have a human experience, if I may share that with you from my personal belief. And as a result of that, I am obligated, because I know, not think, I know, that when I uplift you, as it says in the scripture, we are all uplifted. But when I diminish you, we are all diminished. I believe that to the very core of my being. And even if some of you may not at some time resonate to some of my more theistic terms that I use and so forth, think of the concept. I'll speak from American, good old American politics. United we stand, but divided we do fall. In that sense of belonging, let us stop this free fall and let us continue in our individual lives, because that's all you can change, no one else. In our individual lives, seek that unity, seek that belonging, not for yourself, but for the other. And it's my contention that that will make not only your light shine, but that you will ignite a fire in others, so that we can begin to turn around what seems to be a very deep, dark future. And we can turn that around at any time we as a collective choose to become what we've always had the potential of being, but have never truly believed it. It's time to believe it. It's time to belong. Bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Just okay? That was pretty good. Okay, I'm sorry. I understand.
Just blithers out. So I was sitting here thinking, how can I get Ron and John together to do this?
Provide food. Just provide food. It's been done before. They provided food. We were in the same room. It was amazing. You meet a preacher who won't take a free meal, you've not met a preacher. We can do that. There's many things we can do in the future, and I'm deeply grateful for having this opportunity to share with you. Now, let us continue, please, with our service. Why did I lose that? Okay. No, I'm good. Our closing hymn today is not that one.
We had a few phone calls, which are pretty funny, actually.
What is our closing hymn today, oh Madam Muse of Music?
So it's going to be number 1. If you have my notes.
Number 1? Oh my gosh.
I think.
I don't think I've ever sang number 1 before. Oh, cool.
I can't see because the sun's shining in here. It's good, Dad. Oh, thanks.
So if you'll turn in your hymnal to hymn number 1, may nothing evil cross this door.
Is that a good tempo?
Nothing evil cross this door, and may ill fortune never pry about these windows. May the rain go by. By faith made strong.
Sorry.
Try it again, Sam.
Let's try this one again. And then, sometimes when I'm doing this, I'll add in like a little blurb, but we'll work on that if we like this one to do. And then that way you won't just jump in before it works.
Well, let's take it for a test drive.
Okay, let's try the second verse.
Strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with wine. Every casual corner blooms into a shrine. Needs a little work, but it has potential. I like it. Before I offer the benediction and we have our extinguishing chalice words, I believe there are going to be just a couple announcements. Again, I'm deeply privileged and grateful that I'm with you again today. I will be back, hopefully by popular demand, on the first Sunday of October. And the only other announcement I have is, as is becoming a bit of a custom with me now because I truly enjoy it, I brought some goodies. So stay after the service for coffee and fellowship. And I brought a dessert, and it's like I told my wife on the way here. I don't know why I say this to her because it's a given in our marriage. Dear, I need your honest, constructive criticism. I said, I want you to tell me exactly how you feel. And she goes, don't worry. I'm not worried, but yeah, it's a different recipe, but I'm hoping people go, oh, that's really good. Or people will go, and of course, you know it, you've had it all in your own kitchens. Oh, that's different. That's different. It's like, that's different. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Are there any other announcements?
I don't have any announcements, but I just wanted to remind everybody that next week is potluck. I think we have another announcement.
I just wanted to announce that there's going to be another No Kings rally all across the United States on October 18th. I know there's one in Williamsville, there's one in downtown Buffalo. I couldn't find one in Niagara Falls, but that may change between now and then. But it really was a great experience. It was an empowering experience, and I went away feeling a lot more hopeful than I had before. So I encourage anybody who can to get to one of the No Kings rallies.
Thank you. That's very important. Thank you. We've gathered together as brothers and sisters, united by the generous life of the Spirit. There's many things in spirituality that we don't comprehend and possibly never will. That's why in the Hindu tradition, God is referred to as the great unknowable. And yet we do know that within each and every one of us, there is a spark of that great unknowable. Call it divinity, call it sacredness, but it is that divine eternal flame in which we live, move, and have our very being. And because we are people of covenant, we choose to covenant with that generous spirit of life, with each other, and with all of our brothers and sisters on this beautiful planet Earth. That we shall arise and we shall gain the upper hand, if you will, against that which might be referred to as evil. We shall eliminate and eradicate that which stands in the way of diversity, justice, peace, and love. But we shall do it by standing on the side of love. We shall do it calmly, yet with great resolve. We shall do it with no fear. We shall strive to do it in such a way that we may truly, again, strive to commit ourselves and execute a world that works for everyone, no exceptions. This is not only a prayer, this is our chosen destiny, for we choose to enact upon these words to make it so. And so it is, and so we let it be. Amen. If you'll turn in your yellow, or it's got to be like other colors, and we're going to do our chalice extinguishing. And please repeat with me. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Amen. What, your postlude? Oh.
Yeah, let's try it again.
Okay.